All right, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Diz Debate, a podcast made by fans for fans. We've got all sorts of episodes. We've got battle episodes. We've got armchair Imagineering episodes. But today we've got a really good one lined up for you, which I always say, but it's because we do. I just can't. I don't know. I love what we do. I love this podcast, so it's a good time. But before we get into that, we're going to get to know who's with us today. So, Dean, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm surprisingly not that hungover as Bristol Pride yesterday, so I sweated a lot of the alcohol out, so
Yes.
good. And also got a reservation at Geo 82 for September.
Yes! Big victory for
Very
Dean.
Love that spot.
Olivia, how are
Such
you
a good
doing
spot.
today?
I'm good, just very warm.
Yes.
That's it, really.
We're all suffering at the hand
Warm
of the
in your
sun
heart,
these
yeah.
days. George, how are you doing today?
Great. I just got back from a 2-week Disney Dream Mediterranean cruise.
Wow.
You got back yesterday? No, the day before yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Good for
A
you.
lot of laundry, but yeah.
Good for you. Adam, how are you doing today? It's good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you for having me back. Yeah, fresh off the beach down here in Devon. It is warm. Did anyone mention it's warm? It's very warm.
Very hot. Huh? It's hot here. It's hot there.
Everyone.
And last but not least, Sarah, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I am surviving the newborn trenches of having a baby in about 3 heat waves we've had in the UK. So that's been fun, having a baby stuck to you as well as being really sticky. So,
Eesh.
yeah, surviving.
We applaud you. You're doing great. Well, it is good to have everyone back. We're so glad to see some familiar faces back with us, as always. Before we dive into today's topic, we've had some Disney news that has gone down in the last week, and we are excited to talk about it. My favorite, which is not funny, I'm not smiling or laughing. We did have another kid jump out of or fall out of I don't know the exact story, but another child has unfortunately fallen out of a log in Splash Mountain. Very, very unfortunate. Or Tiana's Bayou. Sorry, that'll show you. That'll follow me for the rest of my life. But that did happen. That's a bummer. We had
Same location?
was it still Disney World or Disneyland? Was it the same?
I don't.
Disneyland,
Yeah, same
Was
problem.
it? Jeez.
Seatbelts,
Yeah.
here we come in California, I'm telling you. So we'll see. And then I know we had the Moana live action come out. Has anyone seen it or heard reviews?
I saw Toy Story 5 on the ship, but I did not see Moana.
Mm-hmm.
I heard mixed things.
Mm.
I've heard that
Makes
Toy
sense.
Story 5 did really well, but I have no idea about
It was
Moana.
incredible.
Mm.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Mm.
Very pulling at your heartstrings. Kind of brings it all like nicely together, but also projects to future things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was very well done.
There's a fire in Small World. Does anyone know anything about that? I don't know a ton about that happening.
Yeah, I guess it was carrying a battery charger, well, phone charger, like you all do now, and it caught fire. So when we went
Oh.
to Tokyo last year, we flew with Emirates, and there had been a fire on one of the other planes just before we went. So we were told you'd only take one portable battery charger with you, and it had to be in the seat, back of the seat in front of you. It couldn't be in your hand luggage.
Wow.
So yeah, it's nice to become appearances, and I guess if it's hot over there, there's more chance.
Yeah, I can see that. We have the same kind of standards when we fly Delta for anywhere in the U.S., but they're always like, yep, keep batteries with you. You can only have so many. Got to have these out, whatever. So makes sense, but odd. It's a crazy time we're living in. That's for sure.
They'll probably, I don't know if they mentioned what kind of battery. I know other parks. I wouldn't be surprised after this if Disney starts looking into like, because other parks elsewhere have banned certain types of battery chargers, like those really big industrial size ones. I don't know if that's the one that set fire, but that's probably next steps, I feel.
I hope not. I take two chargers for my phone and a watch charger when I do the parks because they don't last.
Yeah, you need portable chargers.
Yeah.
Unless they started just saying that you need to use the ones that you, because they have the ones where you can pay for them to use for the day. But
Yeah.
they would need
Oh,
thousands of them.
Yeah.
So that's just not going to be a thing.
Well, they do have the rentable portable chargers at Disneyland, but they're so little. I think they only do like 1 or 2 times on your phone. Like I have to have one for my phone that can do it 3 or 4 times, so I can do my Magic Band and my phone and whatever else, and then I have to carry 5 or 6 camera batteries with me because I eat those up because my camera just gets so toasty.
Yeah.
But
And that's the thing is you're reliant on your phone, so you need
Yeah.
to have it charged up because the whole thing now is all the attractions like your lightning lanes, all that kind of stuff, seeing the maps. It's all you have to check your phone. There's no really other way to do it. So I don't know how they can do that other than
yeah, agreed.
no, really, actually.
Yeah, I agree. That's an interesting problem. I know Disney was actually talking about getting us away from our phones, and we all just went, how? You know, like
Yeah,
great idea.
that's-
How in the crap are you gonna do that? But I don't know.
I mean, I feel like you could do it in a smart way, but maybe, yeah. But like everything else is so, your keys, like I don't always wear a Magic Band
Yeah.
going to Disney World or even the cruise. Like you can put it on your Apple Wallet, your ticket. So it's just so many things.
Go back
Like,
old
which
school.
I don't have a.
Paper fast passes. Paper fast
Yeah.
passes.
I want the fast passes back.
I do too.
Tokyo still uses paper,
Do they?
don't
Yeah.
they? For like I forget which passes they have, but when you check in, they give it to you in like on a folder.
Wow.
Um,
Tokyo, man. Keeps proving
when you
how
do
great it
the
is. Besides that, one more thing I want to bring up. Carousel of Progress saw its last, our iteration
Yeah.
saw its last day this week. Very sad, very, very tragic. We will miss it dearly. And then I can't think of anything else. There's been a lot of rumors flying around about the Space Mountain retheme for Magic Kingdom, or not retheme, but like refurbishment is the right word. And there's also been a lot of talk about Avatar coming to DCA versus Zootopia. We'll see how that pans out. I haven't seen like a concrete from Disney thing yet, so I'm not going to say anything here. But that's what's happening this week in the Disney community. Did I miss anything?
The only thing I can think of is obviously with the heat wave, the Disneyland Paris, they're adapting the shows because the law at the moment they can't use the fireworks. So they brought back the drones for Tales of Magic, and I'm very happy about that. I hope they like see how much we love it and then just have it as a permanent thing again. So that's come back. But obviously it's Bastille Day, so they do a big show for that. And they've had to adapt that now because they can't use the fireworks. So they're thinking of different ways. Obviously, they can still do the drones, but the fireworks, and obviously it's a bit different. So we'll see what goes with that. I'm very excited to see the shows. They're always amazing every year. So
amazing.
I'm sure it'll be amazing regardless. But yeah, bring back the Tales of Magic drones permanently. That was a nice thing to see. I was so excited to see that come back.
I mean, I feel like DLP does a lot of things really well, and drone shows at Adventure World, DLP, they're top notch. Yeah, so I'd love to see that expanded.
And Tokyo has got on the action. They've
Ooh.
introduced drones to their night show at Disneyland. This is
Nice.
their very first attempt with drones.
I don't understand. I know at Disney World, in fact, when I worked there that summer, they had like a little special at Disney Springs, and it was super popular. And people thought, "Oh, they're testing out to do it at Magic Kingdom," and they just disappeared, and no one heard about it.
It's Dronios, I want to say the company is that makes the drones for DLP, and
Okay.
essentially they opened headquarters in Florida, so they're based in Florida now as well. So they brought the drones to Disney Springs, so it was actually their show that they did.
Oh, cool.
And it's really strange that they didn't carry on with that. So I'm wondering if there was like some kind of like agreement that it was just a temporary thing to see if there was like enough to
Interesting.
bring like some kind of show. But
But
I
isn't
might see them again. at some point.
Isn't there a lawsuit going on at the moment about the kid that was hit on the head by one of them, which is why they haven't carried on at the moment in Orlando?
Oh, I did not know that. Because the layout of where they do the drones and where they set them off at DLP is round the back, and they cordon that off that entire area. So you wouldn't be able to get hit by a drone unless it malfunctioned and fell out the sky and you were in the right place for that to happen. But that's crazy. I did not know about.
Yeah.
It's inevitable, right? If they've got their HQ out there now, I think it's just a matter of picking the right show at the right time. Like Happily Ever After is a staple, and Phantasm is a staple. Maybe EPCOT will change for the 12th time in 5 years, and we'll have a drone show in it. EPCOT, you never know.
It would work really well in EPCOT. Because obviously with Cascades flights, it's perfect the way they've done that. So
very similar to Adventure World. Yeah.
Yeah.
With that actually would work really well. I was going to add, just to kind of caveat from what Olivia said, just talking about Adventure World. And this is speculation for the most part, so it's not anything official. But I know when they were setting up the new lands for Adventure World, like they had Lion King, you've got Frozen, you've got, what's that main bit going up to it?
Adventure Way.
Adventure Way.
Yeah.
When people were like breaking down that main thing in the middle that does all the shows and the spraying and the water, the components had, when they showed the map,
Would it say Navi?
Yeah, and it had the one side where Cars is, which a lot of people assume eventually will go away because it's just a giant piece of land that's wildly underutilized.
Yeah, me and Sarah were saying that yesterday. We were like, no, need to get rid.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I think an Avatar or anything like that would go perfect in that new park. But yeah, that's speculation.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumours of what could be the next land for it, but we'll see. It's like Moana, Zootopia, Avatar.
Can we please give some love to the original park?
Yeah.
That was like been over 20 years.
We'll see this when we're talking about all the attractions that were planned to be in there. They need to revisit them and bring them because they're actually really good attractions.
Yeah. Get us back on track, Olivia.
Yeah.
Otherwise
that was beautiful.
That's a good way to get into that.
That was a great segment.
Yeah.
Keep these men in check. Yeah.
Yes, that was very good. Which does bring us to our topic today, which is things that Disney has publicly announced and publicized and then just kind of yoinked and not given us. There is plenty of things that Disney has not given us and then told us about later, which are very fascinating. And we will definitely talk about this at some point. But for this episode, and probably a bunch of other episodes, we are going to talk about things that Disney has given us or shown us concept art for and be like, yep, here it's on its way, and then just one day it just wasn't. We're going to start with an easy one, and we're going to start in EPCOT. So easiest one that I think everyone's just plain sad about, that there's really no controversy about, is Cherry Tree Lane and a Mary Poppins attraction in the UK Pavilion. There's a lot to say about that. I'll let you guys say it, but there is a lot to say about that.
I'll go first because I'm passionate about Poppins. It definitely should be in there. I think the UK Pavilion needs some sort of attraction. It needs something else other than Twining's Tea to get people behind where all the shops are. I think that would have been absolutely perfect to get it. It's an iconic IP. We already have meet and greets with Mary Poppins, so let's try and get that back on the table, Disney, please, because I think that was going to be fab.
Adam, is the Beatles cover band not good enough for you? Is that...
I used to dig the British Invasion when they were there for sure.
Yeah, that was actually good.
But no, bring me Poppins, please.
Did they ever say where it was going to be? Were they going to
That's what my question
use
was.
the back row of shops with the tea caddy and things, or was it built back from there?
I don't really know. From the concept, it looked like it could have been behind it.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be in that corner that you go back into where there's the gardens and like the row of houses. I thought it was going to be back there somewhere behind the shops and utilizing that green space, which is pretty much what it is. I thought they were going to kind of expand that little courtyard and then add from there. But again, it's been years since I've seen that concept art actually out. So
And
I'm just getting it up now to like rejig.
yeah, I was gonna say,
my
yeah,
memory.
pull that up. Because when I looked at the concept art, and like you, it's been years. I got the vibe that that's where the entrance was gonna be, but where that building is now that they use for different events, like they use it for like wine festivals or whatever. That was gonna be the show building that you would make your way into eventually, or at least that footprint.
That makes sense.
Because it's so
It's like
huge.
teacups.
yeah, it was
But
going
I
to be
don't know if
a
that's-
spinner, a teacups kind of esque, which I was like, okay, that's a cute ride, but honestly, like if they got that theme right, it could be so cute. Like think about how Tangled is now, that new Tangled spinner.
Like
they
Tangled.
have.
Yeah.
Very awesome, right? Very
That works
beautiful.
really well.
I would not complain if we got something that well done for Mary Poppins. And me and Dean and Joe talked about how the UK Pavilion does need something more concrete and just a better experience for any lack of like I can't think of a better word to put there, but it just needs a more solid thing that keeps you there and helps you stay instead of just beelining for France, which is what I think most people do.
I
They
think
just have to
every
get there.
EPCOT pavilion needs something more.
Agreed.
Something.
I love the like films that they have, but I know a lot of people skip over those, so they need to add something more to those.
But they shouldn't.
I don't know what they could do with those to make them more immersive or update them more regularly. But yeah, I think every pavilion needs something in there now. Because obviously people are skipping over to go to Remy's, skipping over to go to Grand Fiesta Tour, because people are focused on rides and they don't take the time in each pavilion equally.
Yeah. It's not like there's not enough UK like Disney IPs either. So
Yeah.
it's not like you don't
Sure.
have a variation of British ones, because you've got like 101 Dalmatians, you've got Peter Pan, Mary Poppins obviously, and you've
Winnie the
also
Pooh.
got Winnie the Pooh as
Winnie the
well.
Pooh.
So you've got a couple there that are like really classic Disney that you could make like really good kind of little rides out of within
Yeah.
that area, or
I
even
think
just
Mary
like little
Poppins is a
walk-through
perfect
ones.
one as well, because
Yeah,
you've got your Winnie the
especially.
Pooh ride in Magic Kingdom, you've got
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland stuff, so I think that one is
Yeah.
one that hasn't really been done before, and it's still quite popular as well. I think
It is.
would.
They did a recent film. They revived it, and then they're reviving it again, aren't they? There's another
Yeah.
Mary Poppins film that's scheduled to come out within 27, 28 kind of timeline.
Yeah. And I think if you did even like we mentioned earlier, even if you did like a teacup style esque, it's not a huge footprint. You can have like amazing detail, just like Tangle does, which is so amazing, and plenty of great music from there. I think that'd be really fun in that
Yeah,
corner.
we're not asking for e-ticket attractions in each thing, like just nice little fillers, and it'll help with crowd control as well.
Yeah, and I can see that
Simple,
working.
beautiful.
All gutted about this now.
Yeah, because you could.
Revisiting these are just going to make me more sad that they've never
I know,
happened.
because you could make each like country such an occasion instead of just like food and like a keychain. And I think even if it was just a spinner, right, it would help so much with stopping in. You get, you do the whole experience. You watch the film, you go on the teacups, and you're good. So it's a pretty interesting concept. But speaking of unused pavilions, I want to bring up Play Pavilion, because Wonders of Life is one of my special niche interests, and I'm sad to see it just rotting away.
Just sitting there.
Yeah, but does anyone know what the specifics of Play Pavilion were? I have them up here, but I wanted to ask if anyone else knew anything else.
Only thing I know is I think the concept art that pretty much everyone saw, just like all these cool looking VR/arcadey looking games in that main dome area, but I never really saw any details beyond that. I don't know if there were.
Yeah, I've just got the concept art up again, just to re-jog.
Which
memory.
is,
and it's giving Ralph Breaks the Internet is what
yeah,
I'm feeling like that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from it. Which is pretty cool.
Quick history lesson. So in the Wonders of Life Pavilion, supposedly, right? Who knows what's there right now? But supposedly we have two attractions and then a theater. And really, one's a theater anyway. So we really have 2 theater attractions and then a simulator ride. Still in there-ish somewhere. Yeah, it's a Star Tour. It is Star Tours in there, right? So
Body Wars.
Yeah, it was exactly the same thing, released the same year.
So good.
Yeah, awesome ride. There's a lot. I mean, I could spend all day on that. But, and what they promised us was, right, exactly what Olivia said. They promised us this, it was sort of like a digital utopia where you could go and do like digital cityscape activities. So there was an animation academy led by Edna Mode, pretty interesting. Monorail Madness was one that interested me. It was a multiplayer simulator game where you would like race, or you'd figure out the logistics of having monorails and crowd control. Pretty funny, like that you'd get to figure that out while you're on your vacation. And then there was a what does this say? A digital agility, a physical and digital agility maze where guests wore tracked interactive gear to help Huey, Louie, and Dewey and Webby complete a comedic spy course, which sounds pretty involved, like wearing gear for that. Keep in mind that these are all high interaction points, and this is right before/during COVID. So, like, even if they did it and they opened it, I just can't see that pavilion succeeding for the next 5 years. Now, sure, people are a little relaxed more, but like then, no way people are letting their kids go in there and touch all this stuff and wear these things that everyone else had been wearing. So yeah, personally, I think I would have been so glad to see this pavilion be reused, even though it's for something that is like fine. I just don't think it would have held up. It sounds like Interventions to me at Disneyland. I think it would have needed lots of love and maintenance and updates, and I just don't know if it would have worked.
I mean, yeah, and I feel like as we were talking, I think, especially with that concept they have in there with all those games, using that former Body Wars space, it would have been a great idea to put something like, even though they have the Tron ride, maybe connecting it to the newer movie that's more VR, and then you can, just like with Star Tours, you could update it as you want to, or something, or Wreck-It Ralph, and connect it to what's in the building. But yeah, that would have been really hard to kind of maintain, especially the post-COVID years.
From my perspective, for Play Pavilion, it's like Interventions meets Disney Quest, but in 2026 kind of thing. That's what I assumed they were looking at. Oh, don't talk to me about Disney Quest. I would spend an hour talking about why it needs to come back. But that's the sort of concept I was expecting from when they announced Play Pavilion. And like we rightly said earlier, you got to think of updating these things as well. The maintenance of it, tech is just evolving so quickly that sooner or later, the stuff that you've got in the Play Pavilion is going to be outdated and needs upgrading, and hence why we don't have Disney Quest, sadly. So I think the same sort of result probably would have happened to the Play Pavilion pretty soon, which costs money, unfortunately, for the mouse.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the cost factor of the tech. Because, like, you just look at what's happening in games development at the moment, is that it's just getting incredibly hard to even get, like, some of the parts for the specific stuff like that, especially if they were looking at VR. You're talking quite a lot of money to kind of update the RAM, update all the processors, and with the likes and the rise of AI as well, is that we've had a lot of issues where we're finding a lot more things within the gaming industry is a lot more expensive for tech now, and you're going to kind of see surges within phones. Like Apple, for example, have said they're having struggles. So I can imagine, especially at that COVID point as well, we were also having a struggle with tech and trying to get quite a lot of the products out there at that point. I know it was especially hard within COVID to get any kind of console or like your hands on them. So I feel like it's probably been that whole idea and emphasis of, is this cost effective at that point, and is it going to make any money coming back straight after COVID when they really, really needed it from closing the parks? So I think it probably was generally just, unfortunately, cost.
And also, would they get the money back on, like, not fast passes now, is it? It's Premier.
Lightning lanes.
Lightning lanes.
Yeah, would they get
So
them?
many different names for it. I can't keep up.
Yeah.
There's different in different parks as well.
Different parts have different ones.
Genie
Yeah.
Plus, all those different ones.
Well, lightning
How
lane.
would they
That,
monetize that if it's just like individual games? Like if it's a big e-ticket attraction, it's easier to kind of work out what costs they're going to get back on.
Yeah, and I think at this point, if they would have had the games in there, I feel like it would have gone the way of whatever that area is when you exit out of Spaceship Earth. You know, like they're kind of cool, and you'll see some people doing some of them, and they're fun to do for a few minutes. But you never see a huge crowd in there because they're dated a little bit, but they're fun to do, so it's just there. But I feel like that space would have eventually become that. I mean, it's not bad for the Spaceship Earth end because that's the exit for Spaceship Earth. You've got the new Geo Lounge. You have to go through there. So it gets foot traffic. But I feel like it's at this point one of those things where I think it would be a cool concept to take the theater and the former bodywear space, find something that would be just fun to put in there, and then use that dome bit as their cue and just interactive it, if you will.
Just do the meet and greets, because there was I think there was quite a couple of meet and greets that were kind of scheduled, weren't they, that they wanted to kind of put in there. So I know there was like Wreck-It Ralph characters. I think Baymax was also kind of heard that he was going to be a meet and greet character, which I think would have done so well and would have brought in people into that area. So I think if you put really good characters in that building, that initial intro building, and then have that where it spaces off into maybe a theatre, then you're going to get that constant crowd control as well.
Or make it a Baymax ride in there, and then have all the Baymax crew as meet and greets in that space. Oh, that would be really fun, actually. A little San Fran Tokyo.
Yeah.
Like, that would be fun.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting, too, that pavilion has had structural problems in the last 20 years or so, because it's almost 50 years old, which is worth noting as well. But they did give it a new roof when they announced Play Pavilion, which is crazy. If you saw the old one, it was disastrously bad. But it is worth. I like that we brought up foot traffic because it is next to one of the most popular rides in Disney World right now, which is Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it is in so many people's pictures. It makes me laugh so hard. Where I'm like, oh, I'm riding Guardians. I'm like, there's Ones of Life right there. It's behind. I can see the tip, right? I can see its stupid little gold top right there.
It's prime spot because you got Guardians right there, and then when they're done with Guardians, they're gonna walk right by it to go to Test Track. So
I like that
you
didn't say Mission Space. You said Test Track because
did.
that's exactly what people were doing. They're like, I'm good. No orange training for me.
No. I did it once. I mean, the lounge is great in there.
Yeah, for sure.
You get a chance to do the lounge.
Other things in EPCOT are obviously unbuilt World Showcase pavilions and attractions, which this is a fine line of what we're talking about because there's a lot that we know that were going to happen that didn't, but only after the fact. A couple were like, we were supposed to get a Rhine River cruise from Germany. We were supposed to get a Matterhorn in Switzerland. That was actually looked into and advertised. It would have been interesting to have two Matterhorns. That's one of those few rides that hasn't been copied yet. And I know that there was supposed to be like a Africa, more of a pavilion there as well, something similar to that. But again, all we have is that outpost, which we've talked about what a tragedy that is, because that's such an unexplored possibility. But does anyone else have anything to add there or to bring up that we didn't get in Epcot?
We were going to get Spain, weren't we? And then when Gigantic was coming out and the songs were written and they were starting to put it together, they then worked out the dark ride for it. Again, not officially announced though, so we should probably swerve away from that.
I mean,
that ended up being Ratatouille Adventure anyway, that ride.
I said, did Spain not officially? Because I think when Epcot first opened, there were a few countries that said, "Oh yeah, we're going to jump in on this," and I thought Spain was one of them that initially had said.
I think
they were in,
yeah, but not the Gigantic ride at the time because that hadn't been around. Well, we still haven't got it today, have we? But
now, fun trivia question: the space where that Rhine River was supposed to go is technically still there. Do you know where that entrance is at?
You've got the door, the archway.
That giant mural that's right next to was it the beer garden?
Yeah.
Because if you kind of look at it, it is kind of a random extra space with a giant mural that you walk under, and then you have to make a sharp left to go to the beer garden. But you were supposed to be able to keep going into the ride there. And that's why that's there.
There's a lot of those, again, straying, but there's a lot of those in Epcot where you can see infrastructure built for attractions, and then they just never showed up, which is a whole nother episode, so we'll dive into that later.
Like the Mount Fuji roller coaster at the back of the Tokyo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I wasn't going to bring it up because I want to open that can of worms, but I was thinking about that.
The problem with Epcot now is if they bring in other countries, then there can't be any conflict with that country with any of the other pavilions, because then they're going to get their backs up, and they won't want the light shine on a brand new country if the other one's been paying for the past so many years for their pavilion. And a lot of the countries don't want to up the money for the pavilions anymore. I mean, look at all the sponsorships Epcot has lost, and Disney end up paying for the attractions themselves. Like, I think Cosmic Rewind, Disney just paid for all of that, didn't they? They lost the sponsor of the pavilion. But yeah, it's a big barrel of, you could go on for years about it.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in Epcot.
There, and in that space for the countries, because my last year there, I worked at Epcot usually, and I would always walk that space in the back, and there are like one or two spots you could put a country in. It'd be narrow, and you can make it work. So there is room for it if they, and it's interesting because I feel like Disney has kind of kept that in the back of their mind, because I don't know if did you work at Epcot, Dean? I can't remember. Ever in the back area? Oh yeah. Of course you did. In the other corner. I don't know if it was like that when you were there, but a lot of the buildings back there are temporary. Even the old, but they're temporary. As if to, like, if they wanted to build something, all they had to do, it wouldn't be a huge deal. So I'm not sure if that's why a lot of those buildings over there are temporary, the work ones in the back, but the idea is there.
But like when they added Remy's adventure, they kind of built back on the space behind the pavilion next door, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Expanded the footprint of France. It needs some love. It needs some new things there.
Yeah, I think we've brought this up before, but I think something that World Showcase will benefit from is just more attractions, even if it is spinners or boat rides, because it would help it be more of a destination for the theme park goer, right? Because right now it's just you go and you drink around the world and you ride Guardians and maybe Living with the Land and you peace out, right? You're like, cool, hit Spaceship Earth once in there, you're good. But I would really...
You got to see the Phoenicians too. Don't forget about the Phoenicians.
Yeah, Spaceship Earth.
Quite a few there.
I got Spaceship Earth. I didn't include Ratatouille on purpose. You can ride it once.
What about Journey?
Journey, well, I mean the old one, not the new one.
I wish it was the old one.
Say hi to him.
Yeah.
Put jumper on.
I have my priorities.
But a Mighty Python fan? All right.
Take a few minutes.
But it's
what happened with Spaceship Earth as well.
Say, huh?
That was announced, Spaceship Earth.
Oh,
retheme.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Same time as Mary Poppins. That hasn't come to anything.
At the same time, Celebration Gardens was going to have an elevated festival platform, wasn't it?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean,
That's right.
escalators
It was.
and everything.
It was going to have an elevated garden. That's right. Now, I know Spaceship Earth was supposed to get a few updates. They did update some scenes a few years ago, like the one, which I appreciate, the one that had, I forget her real name, but the one that showed that the black NASA scientists in that space portion, right after you see the family watching the launch of the moon. And now they've added the scene right after that, and she's there, and she's got the afro, she's got the cool 1960s stuff on.
Her.
It's a
I
very,
forget her real
very
name.
good scene.
But yeah, they added that and they touched up some others. But I know they were supposed to like add others. But I think that's the only thing we
You
got
need
out
a
of
better
that.
camera in there that takes your photo.
Yeah.
Because
That would be
I went
amazing.
on it and Luke didn't get a face.
Right, it's always like half your face.
It did
Somehow
nothing.
you're
It was just
just
nothing
blank.
at all. I was
You're
on
just
my own.
headless.
Yeah,
Huh?
gone.
That's your future
That is
partner.
one
It's just
update they need
headless.
to do very soon. And they didn't email me. You know when it's like send it to your email, and I put it in a few different emails to make sure I definitely got
Really?
it. Didn't get it. Gutted.
Oh.
Because I have some printed off from when I went like in 2009. I still have those on, like I
funny.
laminated them and everything.
I never
My
got one of
old ones from
those.
Spaceship Earth.
I didn't know.
But I think going back to EPCOT overall, I think it would have just been like good to see EPCOT get some love, whether it's pavilions in the World Showcase or, Spaceship Earth or whatever. Like, there's lots of things that it's not a bad park. I'm not saying that, but it does need love and it needs some touch-ups. It needs a good sweep in a few corners, but otherwise it is a good park.
I think it's a really popular park, obviously with adults. For what you said, it's a really fun, easy park to drink around the world, lounge hop, do whatever. But yeah, I think even people drinking around the world, it'd be nice. Yeah, I'd like to drink around the world, but I'd also like to do a river cruise here and there, or do like even something basic in between.
I feel bad.
you know.
Joe's not here to defend his favourite park.
I know. It's
Just don't let anyone touch Grand Fiesta Tour.
Yeah.
Oh no! Yeah, we need more like Grand Fiesta Tour
Yeah.
is what we need.
100%.
yeah.
Coco needs its own ride when it comes over. Don't put it in there. There's no space.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, make it a new thing. Put it somewhere else.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I would like, if I may, can I change gears? Can I bring up something?
No.
Go
that
for it.
Oh, cool. Who here is familiar with Beastly Kingdom, and what do they
Yes.
know
Sarah
about
is
it?
an expert here.
I've got a lot of nods. Beastly Kingdom was supposed to be a section of Animal Kingdom that was themed to I'm gonna say fantasy,
yes.
right? So dragons,
Yeah,
medieval times, castles,
Yes.
fantasy creatures such as that. We even got parts of it in Animal Kingdom. Like parts of it
Yep.
were built.
Yeah, they're still on the logos.
Yeah, there's
and
still
everything.
logos. There's
Yep.
still like dragons all over the place. There was
Parking lot.
there was even parts animatronics on rides that existed that you could see that were part of Beastly Kingdom's story. So with that being said, here's some of the things that were at Beastly Kingdom. There was a hedge maze that was supposed to kind of run through medieval ruins, and you could discover a animatronic unicorn. Pretty cool. We've got a lot of similar attractions in various Disney parks now. Dragon Tower, that was the e-ticket. It was a suspended steel coaster. You'd go through another castle. That one's like been burned down, so that's kind of interesting. And then Treasure Chamber. Before that same coaster's final drop, the ride vehicle would come face to face with a massive fire-breathing dragon. Sounds like what we may have in Paris is that big dragon. That's pretty rad. But it was an ambitious animatronic, biggest we would have ever had at the time. Here's my question. Would this land, being as big and well done as it would have been, would it have held up now? Would we still go to Beastly Kingdom?
I think it would have been. I think it would have
Yeah.
been a really good tie-in for what obviously we were really all excited about that they announced at D23 about Villains Land. I think it would have been perfect for that. I feel like it would have been a really great expansion into that kind of way of like that e-ticket attraction with the dragon, updating that, making it Maleficent, for example, having meet and greets in there where you've got some of the villains like consistently. I feel like it would have been probably overtook like Avatar in terms of that kind of land, in terms of Animal Kingdom, of an IP that people would have gone to specifically for Animal Kingdom. And it's just crazy to think that like you walk through that park and there's still evidence there that this exists. I think it's just one of those things that I absolutely love when I go and see like the little bit of the logo when you walk through the entrance of Animal Kingdom and you can still see that there. I think not taking that away was perfect because it's still like a little bit of evidence that they were originally going to do it, but unfortunately went significantly over budget with AK. And then at that point as well, they then decided to kind of go over to Dino Land, didn't they, and kind of focus on that afterwards, and then it just kind of got lost, unfortunately. But yeah, Beastly Kingdom is one of those things that I feel like would have been amazing and would have held up still.
And also, if they'd have gotten the dragon right and working, then when Yeti came along, we would have had a working Yeti by now, because they would have made all the cock-ups with the dragon, and then Yeti would be fine.
Very true.
Good old Yeti.
It's actually a really good point.
I do agree. If done right, I think would have been still popular, and really easy to. Being that the land would be this fantasy dragon, you could kind of bring in meet and greets of other IPs from different new Disney movies or old ones, and yeah, that would have been fun. That would have been fun. I actually remember. I don't know if you guys remember early Animal Kingdom days, when you could do a little boat tour around Discovery Island. And they had some animatronics, like on the Africa side, you could see elephants, yada yada. But on the what was supposed to be that fantasy side, they had a dragon, or they had something that, or maybe they had something that was fantasy related that popped out.
Yeah, they had a unicorn, and there was a cave with a fire-breathing dragon where the fire would come out of the cave.
Yeah.
It still exists, right? Is there like a silhouette of the dragon from a certain angle?
They took it away, didn't they, recently?
Oh, did they?
I feel like it was something that got took away. But it would have been so cool to like have like recent photos of that. Not for the people that are obviously scared of like those kind of creepy animatronics when they don't.
I think it's cool.
I think the unicorns ended up in somebody's back garden. They bought it up from like it was being sold.
I want the unicorns.
There's photos of it in the back garden.
I wouldn't mind having a unicorn in the back garden.
Who doesn't like a good unicorn?
But you think of some of the IPs that are around, like the really popular IPs around the fantasy realm as well. You look at like your Game of Thrones and the House of the Dragon at the minute, and then obviously over at the other park that we won't name, they've got a whole land dedicated to their dragon IPs. So fantasy is still a huge pool. So it would be interesting. It would have been interesting to see how it held up. I certainly think it would have held up now, and we probably would have expanded on it quite heavily.
Mm-hmm.
I also like to think of what a solid park. I mean, Animal Kingdom is one of my favorites. It's a great park, but with Dino Land, rest in peace, and Avatar and Beastly Kingdom, and then what we have for Kilimanjaro and Everest and everything, like that would have been such a strong competitor. Like it really, I don't think people would call it a half day at that point. They'd be like, no, you got to go to Animal Kingdom. Like you got to mean it. There's several e-tickets. There's the safari. There's the rapids ride. There's tons of food. Like that one land, which I say it like it's so easy, but it's a multi-million/billion-dollar expansion. But that one thing would have been such a game changer for that land, and I really wonder what would have happened. Like I wonder if in that timeline we would still get Avatar, or they would have been like, no, we can give love to a different one because now we still have Beastly Kingdom still kicking. Interesting to think about the differences of.
That is interesting.
Maybe we wouldn't have Dinosaur Land if we had gotten Beastly Kingdom. Very fascinating. Which I'm sad because I love Dinosaur, but.
And I know this might be a hot take. I do love Dinosaur. It was one of my favorite rides, but I'm also excited that we're getting an actual full-on Indiana Jones ride. Or in Disney World, at least. I think Disney World needed one, like California has. But yeah, I am excited. I was sad to see Dinosaur go, but also excited to see an Indiana Jones ride.
Yeah, I agree. But I know that a lot of people here have other things to share. I'm going to give it over to Olivia and Sarah and let them kind of tackle Euro Disney / Disneyland Paris, and you guys can take it from there, and we'll listen to what you have to say.
Okay, so I'll cover the more newer stuff. So obviously, if we think of D23 news and all that kind of stuff, when we had it was 2.5 billion project of is now Disney Adventure World. So we got the Adventure Campus, But they also said with Arendelle and all that new area that we were going to get a Star Wars land, basically. So that's like the big one that I can think of for that park, especially in recent years, is they had the concept art, you had World of Frozen, you've got the lake, and where now that they're doing Lion King Land was going to be a Star Wars land. It looked very similar to Galaxy's Edge on the concept art, but they never confirmed whether it was going to be the same like timeline as what we've got in the US parks. But that's like the big one for that, and it's sad really that they didn't do that, but also I understand it. And I think if they do a Star Wars land in Discovery Land area, maybe that might be the better fit, and then something would happen in that park. But yeah, that's the big one for Disneyland Paris in recent years anyway.
They had like posters, right, as well, didn't they? Did they have posters up? I'm sure I was in the park
so
to see the concept.
Yeah, they did. They did.
So the big, massive reveal at D23 for the original concept of what Adventure World, well, at that point we didn't even realise that it was going to go through a name change at that point. We just still thought it was Good Old Studios. But it did have that initial concept, and then they plastered it around all the walls that they were in studios as well, where you could see all the concepts, have the breakdown of the concept art as well. And what was really interesting about it is when they were speaking about it, they were saying that it was going to be like a miniature version of what essentially is at Walt Disney World with Galaxy's Edge. But they were originally just going to focus on just doing the Millennium Falcon. So it was just going to be the Smuggler's Run as the ride. So whether it was, well, from what we've heard anyway, from official DLP news of like when people have been interviewed about this. So the recent interview was when essentially they got asked why Star Wars Land was changed to Lion King, for example, at that point, or why it was swapped out maybe. They did just say we're still working on new concepts of what the third final land will be in Adventure World. But unfortunately, the cost for Star Wars was quite a lot and significant. And then I think also, if you look at that timeline, that time frame of when they initially said about the expansion of studios as well, it was 2018, 2019 time, just before COVID hit, and also just before the Star Wars Hotel as well. And I think that probably had a lot to do with it as well, of why they kind of went a bit like, hold on, do we just want to take a back pace from Star Wars at the moment? Because we've seen it in the parks with Galaxy's Edge. They're going back to OG characters, whether specifically that land was just going to be a copy and paste one. So they thought, actually, the IP is not doing as well anymore. It's probably not going to bring in as much that we'll still have that footfall going back into Arendelle at that point. And what do we do with a land that's just before it? Because Tangled Spin is not going to obviously hold up a lot of crowd control at that point to get to Frozen. So it's really interesting, I think, in terms of why that's probably not come to fruition, and they changed over to Lion King. Lion King is a huge IP in Europe, and I think it is probably the right call. So even though I was absolutely gutted and that they don't really want to speak anything about it, I do think there's probably, like Liv said, Discoveryland is the better place for it. I think at the back of Discoveryland, make an entire Star Wars part. You've got Mando there already. You've got Star Tours. You've got a shop there. Just expand that part at the back of the railroad because you're not using it. So it makes sense, doesn't it? Because they're not using that part anymore. And whether that's something we might get from D23 this year, who knows? Because we've got a lot of things that need to go on in Paris. So fingers crossed we still get Star Wars in some form.
It's funny because when I was last there, I was talking to my partner, and being in that space, to your point, like Discoveryland, that would be perfect for. I mean, you already have Star Tours. I feel like where they have the X-wing would be even perfect, if especially that space underneath, or you could just add another wrap around it. Would be a cool little lounge that you could have, not an Oga's Cantina's lounge, but more of a Star Wars lounge. Maybe have it like where it's on a starship of some kind, or an Imperial base. Like basically make that a Star Wars land, but not Galaxy's Edge. Make it because it's already industrial looking, so you can make it look more imperial, make it look more empire, make it look more something to that effect. Because yeah, I mean, certain parts of Star Wars are still very popular, obviously with the cartoons and the movies and the games. So there's still a love there, and obviously a lot of people still like. Well, people love it or hate it, but a lot of people do enjoy the overlay on the Space Mountain. Um, so you already have that there, and you can keep some of the infrastructure. So I think that would be great to just kind of do a little imperial looking Star Wars land. I think that'd be fun.
I always thought it'd be really good because Paris, we've got, especially DLP specific, it is great in terms of a park of that. It's beautiful. Like we have a lot of garden and we have a lot of like really rich kind of ways that they could do a really good indoor, I think. Ooh. Would be perfect for it. I feel like that would be insane to have that, fun. Have massive trees around, have a lot of like, because you could cover it really well for the theming. So then you had that really good kind of entrance where you go from Discovery Land into a new world. So then it wasn't too much in your face, because at the moment it does feel not that great, that kind of land. I always feel like when I'm at Paris in the main park, that's always the weakest theme, like Discovery Land, because I feel like it needs to go back to that Jules Verne original concept that they had. Like I'm a massive fan
Discovery
of original
Mountain.
Space. Oh, just just the
I agree.
Old style
Bring that back. That was such a masterpiece.
Yeah. And it's just interesting because I think then that kind of like really loops into that original like Euro Disney 1992 concepts that they did, because Discovery Land was like a real gem on the map that they had. So just to kind of give you a brief overview of what that is that originally when Euro Disney first opened in 1992, they did get an artist to come in and actually do the artwork for a map, but because they only had a certain amount of rides that were currently already open for the opening of Disneyland Paris, that they wanted to make sure that they were going to be able to get people back into the park. So they got the artist to essentially draw up some concept art of what they were actually planning on doing after they'd opened Euro Disney at that part. And in the original part they had in Discovery Land, they had where you have Space Mountain. It was originally going to be where they had like this little tunnel that would actually go into where we have Hyperion Cafe now. So there were originally concept art of having a restaurant that was within that area of that ride, which was really cool. And I think that would have probably kept a lot of more people in that land as well, because you could dine, you could also go on the ride, and then you'd also enter to maybe some kind of gift store as well, because I think that's also missing, because we just kind of have that Star Tours gift shop at the moment in Discovery Land. There was also something that is probably a bit more connected as well that a lot more people know about within the concept art, is at the back of Discovery Land there was a concept for the Little Mermaid, and it was a dark ride. It's probably one of those ones where it's a very rare one that actually got so far into production that Imagineering actually had videos of the ride. And I believe they were on VHS as well. So like on the little trailers, they actually had the video on a VHS part of it, just to kind of showcase this is what we're going for. This is going to be the new Little Mermaid, because Little Mermaid was a huge IP in the 90s. So I think it was going to be something for Disneyland Paris, and it would have been incredible to see what they've done, because it was going to be where you went in like a little shell, the ride, and it was a little bit like Peter Pan's Flight, where you'd be in the shell, you'd go around and you'd see all these little animatronics of the Little Mermaid characters telling the story, and it was going to be a really cool dark ride at the back of Discovery Land, and I feel like that would have been so good for DLP at that part. And then also within Fantasyland, there was originally a planned Beauty and the Beast it was going to be a theatre production of Beauty and the Beast, so it was going to be a show. And in the actual art as well, the exterior to where the entrance was for that theatre, it was going to be Belle's Village, which I think would have been perfect. It'd have been so good for Paris to have it, because I think everybody who visits Paris expects Notre Dame and also Beauty and the Beast. Like, they're the main things that people think of when they think Paris. So I feel like having that show would have really tied into Fantasyland better. And then kind of swiftly moving on to kind of where Adventureland was, in between Adventureland and Frontierland. They also drew up original concept art for Indiana Jones. So we were originally supposed to get an entire land dedicated to Indiana Jones with a ride included. So it would have been so interesting to see how that would have come from Frontierland into that part of Indiana Jones, and how well that would have kind of stood out instead of the roller coaster we did get for Indiana Jones, so which not many people are fans of. Personally, I don't mind it. I think it's gotten better after a refurb. It's less chuck around like style of roller coaster now, but I think an Indiana Jones land would have really done that justice, and I think it'd have been so fun and cool to kind of hang out there. And then in Frontierland, you also had original concept artwork for something that I always feel like would have been so cool to see. It was a place called Geyser Mountain. It's like there's very little information about it, because the original Imagineer unfortunately didn't write up majority of the concept for it. So there's very little artwork there, but there was you can see remnants of where that was supposed to be, because it was supposed to kind of link Phantom Manor and Big Thunder and Thunder Mesa as a story. So it was kind of to do with like Ravenwood and like how they made their kind of millions in terms of how they funded Thunder Mesa. So it was going to be a really interesting concept, and actually the ride itself was going to be very similar to what you've got with Tower of Terror. So it was the same mechanics, because they kind of drew up Tower of Terror and thought we could probably do a copy and paste of that in Paris. But then they were like, do we just make it Frontierland themed? And then that's when they kind of came up with Geyser at that point. And it was supposed to kind of shoot you up as like a fountain erupting, which I found was a really cool concept. And I feel like that would have been so fun to see at the back. And especially with Phantom Manor, you kind of feel like you get into Frontierland and then you almost get to Phantom Manor and then it's a stop and then you kind of loop back around. So it does make sense why they wanted something around the back of that. But a cool fun fact is that if you do go to Phantom Manor, you can actually see the geyser peaks of where they were originally going to do the land. So there's like the kind of like little things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It really depends when you go to DLP if they are on, but they like shoot up water and they erupt. So that's where actually that initial entrance was going to be, was that you were going to kind of go from there. And then there was also canoe rides as well, where we've got Molly. So I think it is really interesting to see that all this concept art is in that 1992, but unfortunately all that, because of Euro Disney and the fact that it did go bankrupt really early on, we didn't get any of those because there just wasn't simply any money there. And then for years and years and years, I think Disneyland Paris has just been always trying to kind of profit and get to that point where they can update some of their rides in the main park, because it is strange as a park, as an original park, for over 20 years to not have a new ride at all. There's nothing new in that park. Yeah. Everything's original. So it's crazy.
I do love... I do think it was also... I don't know. I'm not French, but from what I read about it, like, I think it was that first generation and that older generation of French kind of pushed against Disney. And then when those Europeans who were kids and went to Euro Disney grew up and got adult money, they started going because they do love it. I know even now when I go to Paris, compared to like when my parents went and I mentioned, oh, I'm going to Disney, instead of getting weird looks, I get like, oh, cool. And especially if it's someone my age or younger and they're excited about it. So I do like that at least now it seems DLP is getting some love from the company, um, as a whole, especially obviously Adventure World and much needed updates. But yeah, that all sounds really cool. Some of that stuff that could have been.
Yeah, the Beauty and the Beast one is one that I was
Oh,
looking more into today, and
that would have been
it's
awesome.
kind of like, because obviously in like Magic Kingdom we have Enchanted Tiki Room and we have the Country Bears, and it was that kind of same vibe where it was going to be like audio animatronics shows. So like it was Mrs. Potts, Lumiere, and Cogsworth in the middle, and then Belle would come out as well as like just a normal live actress kind of thing. So it was going to be a mix. They said there was going to be like the transformation of the beast as well, and then the prince would come out. So it's something I think Disneyland Paris is missing, that kind of audio animatronic show. I think that would be a really nice addition and something a bit different to the park, rather than obviously I'd love the Little Mermaid ride to come, but it's another dark ride attraction similar to the Peter Pan ride. So I think that one was a bit different, and it's I'm gutted that, because I love Enchanted Tiki Room, so I'm really gutted that that's not come to fruition.
Glad that we're going into Disneyland Paris's missed opportunities here, because I think because of Disneyland Paris in the Michael Eisner era, there was a lot of things going on. There was a lot of things at the studios and a lot of things at the company that were happening, good and bad. And there was a lot happening in the parks, and building of Disneyland Paris kind of got overshadowed by its failure initially, right? 'Cause great park, but it did go bankrupt, and that took a lot of the parks with it as well, because the parks are their own little ecosystem. And so we saw cutbacks in Disneyland and Disney World and all the other parks in the world at that time because of this. And so I think people tend to forget that there was more plans for Disneyland Paris, but we just focus on, like we didn't get the Indiana Jones expansion in Disneyland, or like we didn't get this in Epcot or whatever. And in reality, like there was just as many things happening for Paris in its future that were just as missed as any other thing. And so I'm glad we're like going into it.
Just that one thing of where, like, I think what is done really well for it has been taken over fully by Disney Company. I think that's obviously really helped it out because of the fact that now it's made its first profit. We're seeing quite a lot more of reaping the rewards of an expansion. We're still on board of that. They still have that initial agreement of a third park that they still have to kind of keep up with before 2030. So that'll be interesting to see if there is anything that kind of comes up in D23. Like, I'm really hopeful. I know a couple of people that I speak to are kind of thinking, there's got to be something big. We've had Frozen, we've had the opening. You need to start.
I'm hoping an indoor water park.
Ooh,
water park was I was thinking as well.
Yeah, like because you've got the
indoor
ones that are happening.
Yeah.
That would be really, really good.
It's interesting that, because it's quite near to Center Parcs though, because they have a partnership with Center Parcs at DLP.
Yeah, that's true.
So it'd be interesting to see if they kind of do like maybe a sponsorship of some kind, of where it's Disney and Center Parcs come together and do some kind of interesting stuff, because I feel like that brings in the British crowd especially. We love a bit of Center Parcs, so I think it would be definitely something that a lot of people's families would go to, because I feel like Disneyland Paris especially have leaned in more to families than they have. I think Walt Disney World especially and Disneyland, they kind of cater quite more for adults, I think, whereas Paris has kind of gone the complete opposite way. With Adventure World, they've kind of leaned in more to that family orientated of like, you can meet Anna, you can meet Elsa. You've got a few food stuff that are coming on, so we are getting there with the food. But unfortunately, it's still like, it's not as fast as the park to go to if you want to do food, drink, and entertainment. But for adults, I think it's still kind of more going that more family orientated. For Disneyland Paris, it would be interesting to see what the third land would be, and whether that might have also influenced maybe swapping out Star Wars for something else and making it a bit more of a family IP. Because the kind of thing about Moana is that it's huge family is huge in the Disney princess world as well. And then you've also got Zootopia as well, that's been spoke about as kind of IP. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens. And I think the history of Disneyland Paris and how it's overcome its failures is just one of my favorite stories. I think it's why it's always been my favorite park, is because it's had its struggles, but it's also never been afraid to kind of try things out and try new things consistently to try and bring people into the park and back to the park as well. So I feel like we do have to give it credit in that way, is that they do offer quite a lot temporary to kind of get people in and kind of keep it interesting for us, that pass holders as well of the park. So yeah,
I think that will really benefit Disneyland Paris now that they are starting to see that investment finally into that resort is originality, and it talks to the conversation that we're having at large. If they can get that original concept going in Disneyland Paris, like a Lion King land, which is exclusive to that area, if you can find another niche like that to that, you're going to draw people in. If you clone it and make a smaller version of Galaxy's Edge, massive Star Wars fan, I would love it, but I would love it for a small amount of time, and then I would just say, do you know what, I'm going to Walt Disney World because that's a better immersive land for my Star Wars love and heart. So if they can cherry pick the right type of IPs and make it original, you will draw more people into Disneyland Paris, which is only going to boost those profits year on year.
I think to add to that, I don't think they necessarily need to rip out a current IP like Star Wars, but I think if they, to your point, made it original, like I said, like if it was like something Empire based, or as a fellow Star Wars nerd, there's literally hundreds of planets to choose from. So it could literally be any planet, it could be any station, it could be any main character. So there are other ones that even the younger generations have fallen in love with at this point.
Even Ewok adventure ride.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Or Ahsoka. I mean, Ahsoka's huge.
Ahsoka's huge, especially with like the tweens and stuff. Make it, it could take place on Kashyyyk, and you could have Ewoks in oh my god, what's Chewbacca again? Wookiees, thank you. Well, I just had a brain fart. But yeah, you could have Ewoks and Wookiees, and those are all cuddly and fun.
Yeah.
Or
anything
any of them
to move Phil Magic out of that little corner.
Yeah.
It's when I first saw that, I was like, but why? I mean, I like Phil Magic, but why here?
Yeah.
Bring back Captain EO.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's great. That's a classic.
Put it on the screens anyway. You might as well.
I know.
But the food though now, especially in the new Adventure World, amazing. Like that one that overlooks the new little lake. They've got little huts all around that have. Yeah, I think they've definitely given their culinary more attention to, which was much needed.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there's definitely, there's tons to dive into with DLP, and there's hundreds of things more that we heard about after the fact, right? Where it was like, we were going to get this, but we didn't, and like all these different things. There's so much to dive into there. But I know Dean also had some projects to give us from Tokyo that I was reading about as well. And I'd really like to hear about those.
So it was around about the same time. So in 2015, they announced another port for Disney Sea, Scandinavian port that was going to be fully themed to Frozen alone. And it would have had the Frozen ride there. I don't know in what form. But yeah, that eventually evolved into Fantasy Springs that we got a bit later. In Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, again in 2015, they announced Alice in Wonderland Dark Ride. They've already got the Queen of Hearts over there. They got the teacups.
Why did I miss this?
Big multi-million-pound Alice Dark Ride there. It was announced in 2015, but then cancelled in 2016 due to a shortage of construction contractors ahead of the summer 2020 Olympics.
You've just actively broken my heart right there.
You've just
Bring it to
and
the
with
UK
that,
Pavilion.
the episode's
I'm
over.
glad
We
I've
gotta
not
take a
known
break.
this
So yeah, so the space that was going on is they put the Fantasyland Forest Theatre there, and the Happy Ride with Baymax. So not so happy for Alice in Wonderland, but happy for Baymax. But it would have been good. It would have been Tokyo, so it would have just been amazing.
Yeah.
There's concept art out there for it. What they proposed.
I'm on it.
Just gonna blow it up and frame it.
Oh, what?
But I tend to find that more so with Tokyo. Like last year, they kind of announced their 10-year plan, didn't they? Of Disneyland, and Adventureland has completely been retooled. No Jungle Cruise, not an up ride, incredible coaster, various things. But again, I think they've kind of learned how that they say kind of a what if, rather than we're definitely going to do this now, because they've learned. But like, there's other things, like we're going to get a theatre behind Main Street. I'm just looking at Olivia's face right now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, maybe they could do EPCOT.
Yeah, that Main Street Theater is a really good thing. But one more thing about what we were talking about with Tokyo is I find that the Olympics construction being a part of that is a really interesting thing, because usually with canceled things, it's usually shortage of something, or COVID's a really big proponent for us. But I also think like that's such a legitimate reason. Like I'm almost less sad about it, because I'm like, okay, that's like real, because the rest of them, they're just like COVID. It was COVID. I'm like, what about it? What about COVID? Why didn't we get that? Because why? And then they never bring it up again, and then I'm crazy for saying bring back teacups to Mary Poppins, right? So like, come on here. But I like that reason. But the Main Street Theater is a really interesting one. I was actually doing a lot of research about this today. For those who don't know what the Main Street Theater was, it was going to be a big expansion it was going to come off of Main Street, and it was included in the Tron expansion as well. Just all those permits were kind of filed all together for Disney World. So that gives you kind of a time frame. But it was going to be a big Broadway-style theater where they could do all these big shows like the Frozen show in California Adventure and various other shows. Just whatever they wanted in there. It was big space. If you're listening or watching, I encourage you to look it up right now, because it is not what you're picturing. It is large. It is bigger than you think it is. There's a lot of people. This was another thing that got killed by COVID, I believe. It's really interesting because they actually did start clearing space for this, and they filed the permits, and they actually, I don't think they broke ground, but they did start doing some surveying and construction work, and then it just wasn't, and they stopped. And now they just like put stuff back on the concrete that they were clearing off, and now it's just like a thing that they talked about and that never happened. Yes.
They did break ground, so groundbreaking began October the 28th, 2017.
Wow.
Yep, there you go.
All right.
So
But by 2018 it was cancelled.
Yep. And it was a quiet canceling, just like most of them, and they favored Tron there, right? And so then Tron went up and went vertical, and it's awesome, and I love Tron. But here's my question. Do you think it would have fit or worked on Main Street to have something like that? And do you think it would still be there? Do you think it'd be a fan favorite?
I'm just having a look at what it'd look like.
Well, there's no theatre space in that park, is there really? I'm correct in saying that. Like, Disneyland's got a couple of theatre spaces. Magic Kingdom doesn't have anything.
They've got the Hall of President. No, not the Hall of Presidents, the other one. In Liberty Square. That's quite a big theatre.
The Hall of Presidents is massive, actually.
Is it Hall of President? I can't remember.
But
I get mixed up with it. Yeah, it is, because the American Pavilion has the other one. Yeah. I get them
but
mixed
Dean's
up.
right, because
also a huge underutilized, used space. They're both massive theaters.
yeah, but
I think
Dean's
that
right,
would be
because there's
great.
no show space, right? because even Hall of Presidents is even an attraction, and you could use that stage for other things. Like you easily repurpose that, you know. You totally could, which they may, but there's no show space.
Shanghai Disney have got a big purpose-built stage show just on the beam of the park. You can go into it through the park and have daytime shows, and then they bring in, from what I understand, they had the Lion King there for like a couple of years where it was upcharged for the evenings. And also in Orlando, you need indoor spaces because the weather is so hit and miss. It could have brought
especially
more money.
in spring and summer. I don't know if that space would have been good for it, but I do think where they would have put it, I do think it would have been popular. I mean, you take the Disney Cruise Lines or Disneyland Paris does shows, top notch. Lion King, and people love those shows. The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. Those shows are super popular in the European parks and on the Disney Cruise Line. So if they had a space just for that at Disney World, I think it'd be. And you brought in some amazing shows. Even if they were touring around Broadway shows, obviously it's Disney. They have their own Broadway shows that are on Broadway and West End. Bring in those shows, and I think it would be super popular.
I think for me, I'm not a show guy. I like a good show and I appreciate it, but I don't usually go. That being said, without even thinking about that, I just don't know if it was going to fit as well as people wanted it to on Main Street. I think that concept is a good thing for Disney World, especially Magic Kingdom. Dean's right. Like, they need a show space. But the facade that I saw in the concept art just didn't fit Main Street's vibe for me in Disney World. And I know it's different.
Because it's such a big building.
And it's so square. Like, it looks like a bank. Like a big old bank.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Yeah. I just think
this would look weird.
Back to the origins of why we have Main Street, it does not fit it, right? Because Walt's vision for Main Street was that he was walking down his old town, and it was all small town shops, and that's how it's kind of is, isn't it? It's like everybody's home town. That's why you're not going to just have Main Street, and it's very familiar. And then if you put like a huge theatre like round the corner, that's going to smack you in the face. Yeah. Like, it takes you out of Main Street and you go to City Street or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's not really kind of the concept of what Main Street is, and I think it would have probably caused a lot of uproar.
I think so
with OG kind of Disneyland as well. I feel like people would have just said like, look, like, it doesn't fit. You're making something that's like not going to fit it. But now, I think the actual initial idea of it is perfect. Like, I do agree. Like, theatre space, absolutely great. You can sell tickets. You can sell for like kind of the theatre productions, like West End ones, if they came over. You also can do what like Disneyland Paris does, where a lot of people will buy to kind of reserve to make sure that they're always in the show. So you could have kind of done that concept as well. So in terms of money, like for Disney, it would have been a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
It's just placement, I think, would have needed quite a lot of potential for.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where, like, Magic Kingdom.
And I think you could put a theater on Main Street. I just don't think the entrance should have been that big, right? And there's a lot of logistics with that. But Disney is the master of small, facade, big show building. This is what they've always done. Think of Haunted Mansion, right? Like, huge show building outside the berm. Tiny little facade, beautiful little house. I think if they had reworked it to be something closer to that, where we do go in a reimagined cinema, where we do have the Main Street Cinema already, like there's already the overhang. If they had reworked that to fit the crowds that would have gone through there, or maybe had a separate exit like into a different part of the park or whatever. But if they had reworked that and then put the building back there and I didn't see it, I'd be so in. Like, I'd be like, do it. Go, Disney, go.
Thinking about the blueprint, because my first few months was at Magic Kingdom and I was in the Utilidors, and so I feel like actually a really good spot. You'd still have to rework the front, because that, to your point, is way too massive. It looks like this turn of the last century, but like massive bank that just would way be out of place.
It's like a big bank.
Yeah, it just looks like a giant bank. Yeah, rework that front facade. But I think if you had it when you come into Main Street towards the left, like past the firehouse, there's not a lot back there. In fact, sometimes they use that as a secondary escape route for when the crowds get super heavy. And there's no real buildings right there. So you could have it there, make the facade a lot better, and then have people exit out the other end, like near Crystal Palace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To just kind of disperse the crowd.
I completely agree. That could have totally worked.
I think that would be great, actually. But yeah, we worked that front. I don't know what it would look like, but not that.
Yeah, I agree. And well, now that we've broken Olivia's heart with the Alice in Wonderland, and now that we've
remind me, I just forgot
thoroughly saddened.
You know,
I think for Olivia's sake, we better end this episode, which is sad because we haven't even talked about my favorite ones, which were Westcott and the Port Westcott. Disney and the Disney
America.
Yeah, Disney's America. That's a huge one. Big. We could spend a whole episode on that. Just that, and the Indiana Jones temple expansion in Disneyland and Paris. Like big projects that we got promised, never.
David Copperfield.
Yeah, stuff like
restaurant,
right.
Hollywood studio.
Yeah, tons and tons of things. But I encourage everyone who's listening or watching to go and research these yourself because they are intensely fascinating. If you want to know more about them, please do check out people like Defunctland or Offhand Disney. They do wonderful jobs at like getting the information in. There's no fluff. It's very, very good presentation. And they get all their research in. But this
or better yet, they'll tune into our next episode.
Yes. Yeah, they should come and check out our next episode because we're going to talk about these things too. Or Yesterworld Entertainment. They do stuff too.
Yesterworld. That's a good one.
But besides that, when you research these projects and you get down to it, most of the time it is money, which is so sad because it is so fun to watch the Imagineers dream and have these amazing concepts, and then they're like...
And timing.
And then, dream, money and timing, and they pull them back. And they're like, hey, scale it down. And they have to give us what little we have. And what little we do have from these projects, or what survived from them, right, in various other parks and things, is so neat. And it's so fun to see the ideas trickle through. So I encourage everyone to go research this. It's kind of an inspiring process to watch. Thank you so much, everybody, for your contributions, for your research, for your words, for your opinions. This was a really good episode. I really enjoy hearing about these projects and hearing what we think they would be like today. Very, very interesting to hear current Disney fans talk about these old projects that we all think about. So we'll definitely make a part 2. I want to talk about Westcott and Disneyland's America, or Disney's America. It sounds so good. But next time. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you watching. Please go subscribe and comment and all those good things that make the internet world go round. And we will see you next time on Diz Debate. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.